I wish I knew in high school, yeah. Life ain't gotta like you, yeah.
Welcome back to Big Homie, the podcast where you get your conversation for the culture, discourse for the diaspora. This is Big Homie Yahlik, and before we move forward, I gotta shout out to my brother Juice. So on 3, we're gonna get a what up, though? Alright?
What up, though?
1, 2, 3.
What up,
though? I'm up here with my real OG, my big brother, my actual blood big brother, David, aka Supa Dave, man. What's up, bro?
Now, what's good with it?
And man, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna get right to it because you are a popular guy. You was a popular guy in high school. You was a popular guy past high school, and a lot of people know you. But through social media, a lot of people get feelings and they feel a certain kind of way about you based on what you post and certain things you choose to talk about. And one of the things that is being a topic of discussion that some people talk about, like while we watch an NFL football game right now, is football. So why is it that you are so jaded about football, I guess based on your high school playing days?
That's a good question. But I thought I've been thinking about this, and you think, because I went to school at Prairie View, I got to be around a lot of guys from metro areas, from Dallas, Houston.
Yeah.
Not only from just Dallas and Houston, but from other big metro cities outside of Texas. And all they had to worry about was their Pacific area.
Yeah.
In Longview, it's just that. It's Longview. It's 3 high schools: Longview, Pine Tree, and I think Spring Hill, if you want to consider Spring Hill part of Longview city limits.
Yeah.
So when you go to Longview High School, that's it. I mean, there ain't too many people talking about Pine Tree, and you got to be a stud to be talked about and go to Spring Hill. But it kind of started with the Mustangs. If you play for the Mustangs, to me, in my eyes, you next up. You know what I mean? If you just really, really think about it, Mustangs generate to starting Lobos.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it is. And then if you Mustangs to Foster, which in my eyes, Mustangs was the dominant team back when I played. Foster was the dominant middle school. Those guys led to being stud Lobos. I was one of those guys. I was a starter from 3rd grade to 6th grade Mustangs. I was a starter 7th and 8th grade at Foster. My freshman year, I was a starter. Sophomore year, it changed. And it's just, I feel like I did everything I was supposed to do to be one of those guys talked about now in this time at the age of 35, 2020. I felt like I did everything growing up as a child in middle school and then get to high school. I put myself in a position to be one of those Lobos remembered. And I'm not. And I feel some sort of way about that because I did everything right.
Yeah. So why is it that you feel like it's such a, I guess, burden on you at 35 years old? You just had a birthday yesterday. Happy birthday. But why do you feel like it's such a burden being, I guess, not having an opportunity 15 years ago as a Lobo?
Because the city of Longview, at least, they look at you. If you didn't do nothing in high school, then you ain't nobody. It's like because you were a 2nd or 3rd teamer for the Longview Lobos and you didn't play but special teams, or you didn't play but mop-up minutes, that you basically, your life is useless or worthless when you graduate. So it makes you feel a certain way. I'm like, really? Like, just because I didn't start in high school, that means I'm a nobody.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you. That's unfortunate. And it does seem like what you did in high school dictate who you are for the rest of your life in a lot of people's eyes. Because high school is everything to some people. Yeah. Right? So I was talking to you before we started playing. I was like, it don't even matter if you went to the NFL and became a Pro Bowler. It still would have been some people saying he was trash in high school though.
He didn't play.
And that's the crazy thing. It's like, bro, like high school is everything to some people. And like personally, when I went to college, I realized, like when I stepped on campus, I realized the people see me for me. Like exactly who I was, and they see me for my talents. And I got respected from who I was for like the first time in my life, and I realized high school is not real, bro.
Man.
High school is not real. It's like who you really are. It's a scripture that I told you about when we was prepping for the show. I can't remember the actual scripture, but Yeshua said in the gospel, he said, "A man is without honor less in his own home and in his own town." Basically saying, Jesus was saying when he was in the town he grew up in, he was basically a nobody. And nobody respected who he was until he went out.
Till he left.
Exactly. Like, it's just crazy. But, I mean, that's unfortunate. So, what position did you play in high school? Like tell us your story.
So coming from Foster, well, it started Foster. At Foster, I was a tight end and defense end. And at Foster, it's Ironman football. You play both ways. Yeah. And if you were good enough, you started both ways. And I started tight end and defense end at Foster. When I went into Longview had just changed from, I believe, Bureau to King. King brought us in. My freshman year is King's first year. And, my bad. Coach Collins' first year. King was the offensive coordinator. But it was PC's first year. And my freshman year, they played me defense end. Remember like it was yesterday. It was number 63. Yeah. I was starting defense end for the freshman team.
Shout out to the defense.
And I was pretty good. I don't remember how many sacks I got, but I can remember a few plays just very, very faintly in my head where I got a few sacks, get a few QB rushes, some tackles on the running back. But I was decent. I knew that if I stayed there, I was going to be good. But going into off season, Coach Keenan had to talk with me and I was like, "Hey, we believe you'll be good tight end position." My freshman year, I ran a 5'6". Not gonna lie to you. I ran a 5'6" 40, but he was adamant that I could make a decent tight end. But he's like, put in some work. So my into my freshman year summer, leading to my sophomore year, my pops put me in. I can't remember the name of the camp, but it was like a strength and speed camp. Out close to the high school. Yeah. And I went from a 5'6" to a 4'9" over a summer.
Was that core?
Core. There we go, core.
Yeah.
I went to core camp and awesome. I didn't know what workout was, honestly, until I went to that core camp mixed in with the Lobos strength training in the summer. And 5'6" to a 4'9" in the summer. Came back my sophomore year. I lost a lot of weight over that summer. And I started at tight end my sophomore year, and I was a hot target. I mean, probably
JV, right?
It's JV.
Yeah.
And I was, hot target. I probably got 3 to 4 passes a game, average over 10 yards a catch, playing JV. I can tell you right now, Coach King's favorite play, because he was the quote unquote JV head coach when I played. He would call right 122 RDO or left 123 RDO, and I knew I was getting it. I was getting that ball every time. And I was catching, I was getting over 10 yards, I was getting first down. I was a blocking stud. I did good. My sophomore year, I got moved up to varsity midway through the season. Didn't play. They moved me back down, and I just strived. Of course, in the playoffs my sophomore year, they moved me up.
What year was that, 2001?
2001. Playoffs my sophomore year, I got the dress, and I dressed out with varsity, and I played in two playoff games as a sophomore. Yeah. In the playoffs. So in my mind, I'm that guy. I'm going to be that guy going forward. I cannot call when Tate Casey actually moved in to Longview. He either moved in my sophomore year or moved in going into my junior year. But he moved in. And me and Tate were friends. I didn't even know what position the guy played. He moved in. We were great friends. Yeah. Still to this day, I feel like if me and him saw each other, we would be great friends. But he moved in 6'6", and I'm like,
yeah, he was big.
I'm like, you think, like, all right, 6'6", you play basketball? You a football player? What do you play? You football. And I'm like, I didn't know what position he played when I first met him. We was cool and everything. Showed up, he was tight end. Kid you not, but that was like probably the worst thing for a young kid to know that this big giant moved in and he plays your position. Yeah. So my junior year,
and honestly, it's not often that people move from outside of Longview and able to produce.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, he moved in, and my junior year was that. Tate went varsity, I went to JV, and I think maybe 3 games into JV, I was moved up, but I didn't play at all. I was moved up to varsity, didn't play at all. I had talked with my parents. I believe I can't recall if my parents had talked with the coaches, but I believe it came to understanding that if I'm not going to play on varsity, move me back down to JV so I can get that experience.
Kind of what's been going on with our nephew Delion right now, and what's going on with him being on varsity his junior year, but not really playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like over 2 decades, it's kind of seemed like it's the same thing that's been going on. But
sucks.
So with everything that happened, why do you feel like it appears based on what you talk about that you want to prove the validity of your athleticism and your talent as a football player now as a 34, 35-year-old? Why do you feel like it's still important for you to let people know who you are?
I feel like it's important because I'm not gonna call names. I had a dude say something to me on Facebook the other day. It was a stud athlete, and he was like, "Yeah, talk to me when you played the game," and I'm like, I was like, played the game. I'm like, are you serious? I don't really think when I played the game. And it made me think about it. It's like, man, you ain't nothing in East Texas if you didn't ball out in high school. Man. So I'm like, yeah, in high school, I was. If you want to think about it, I wish they kept JV stats. I might have been number 2 or number 3 in receiving yards as a JV tight end. I was good.
At least back in the day.
Yeah.
Because with Haynes never played JV. But with, tell you the truth, Landon never played JV either. But their freshman stats, passing stats, is out of this world. They changed the game.
It was crazy because PC's system when he got here was run. You ask anybody who played from 2000 to maybe 06, 07, it was 22, 23, 54, 55. And that's it. And we gonna put it down your throat. So when teams got used to that, then that 122, 123, 154, 150 was just wide open.
Yeah.
And so the dump route to the tight end was crazy because the linebackers would pull up, trying to stop our running game, and then boom.
Yeah,
me and Darren Kenny used to eat on JV, and we were good. We were good, man, but it didn't translate to the varsity level because when you got a 6'6" guy like Tay Casey, who is basically a matchup nightmare for anybody.
Yeah, especially in high school.
Yeah, they not gonna throw it to the backup tight end. So we were reluctant to blocking guys, and so we knew if our name got called, we was going in the block. They went for the throw us the ball so we could at least showcase our abilities. We was gonna block, and ain't nobody gonna remember somebody blocking outside of Trent Williams, who is, by golly, probably one of the best left tackles that I've ever seen on the high school level. But nobody's going to remember you if you're a great blocking tight end in Longview.
Yeah.
If you ain't catching the ball, you ain't scoring interceptions or making tackles, blocking is nothing.
And that's the thing that sucks because, I made a documentary called The Best Team Ever, the sweatshirt that I'm wearing right now. And it's because it's the football culture in Longview. And it's frustrating because obviously both of us, we didn't get much spin as a varsity player in Longview. And one thing that I decided to do is I decided not to fight because I don't have film. Like, Longview is full of assholes. And that's something that I like at the same time, pause. But it's also frustrating when you want to talk seriously about certain things.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I made my documentary, shout out to Spencer Co. Podcast. He did a review on it, and then he was like, he made a comment that, like, as much as the Faggot Boys was on there, you would have thought they were stars. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, how did our playing ability come up with telling the story about Longview? But it's like, it's always a constant theme that people always try to hold against you. It's like no matter how long you outside of high school, they always try to bring up
high school.
What did you do in high school? He's like, why are you even talking? And it gets frustrating a lot of the times, and a lot of people don't understand because Like when I played, it was a guy, man. I talk about this guy. I talked about him on the documentary, Damien Saleh. Damien Saleh is one of the best athletes I ever seen in my life. This man played. He started 4 games my senior year, and the other players on the defensive line had 6 games. In 4 games, he led the team in sacks. After that 6th game of the season, they put him back on the bench and never played him again. And I was like, why? It's like, why is it that a guy that's talented, who able to produce, why won't they constantly involve him in the game plan? And the fact that he's not constantly involved in the game plan, players like you, or players like me, or players like other players like Justin Woolridge, and other players who can produce, why aren't they involved in the game plan? And the fact that they're not involved in the game plan, it's kind of like their fate in Longview is set for the rest of their life. Well, you didn't get to play that much, so you're not good. You're not good enough to be involved in these type of discussions or anything. And it gets frustrating a lot of times. But the question I have to you is like, why do you feel like you constantly need to prove this to these people who we know don't care?
Because it's like I know how good I am. I know how good I was, or I am. I don't play no more. But I mean, as we sit here in my basement now, the pictures that I have along my wall shows the journey from Longview didn't stop. There's a reason why I wouldn't say Prairie View is so far away from Longview, but it's the reason why I decided I'm getting away from East Texas.
Yeah,
I'm getting away from anybody who might know who I am, what my last name is, or what my track record was for Longview High School football. I got to get away from them so I can build my own legacy. But in looking back, it's the comments like, well, talk to me when you played the game. So I feel like I'm like, played the game? Like, are you serious? I was a walk-on in college. Like, I played college ball. I went out there. I left college ball to pursue semi-pro. But I only left college ball because of at the time, the school I went to wasn't that good. And I was like, if I'm going to make it past college, I'm going to have to play for somebody who's going to get some notoriety. And at that time, Prairie View A&M, where I went to school, I think it was 0-66 at the time. They had the worst record in NCAA history. Yeah. But I walked on to that team. I played. 200 kids went to tryouts. 10 made it. Yeah. I was one of those kids. Twice. The first time, I didn't know anything about NCAA clearinghouse, so I didn't have my clearinghouse. So after I made the team, I wasn't eligible. They said, hey, keep working out, come back. Same number. I wouldn't quote 200, but over 100 kids try out. They take 10. Again, I make it. Yeah. They want me. Clearinghouse is done. Then they tell me I ain't got they don't have uniforms for walk-ons. We got to get our scholarship players suited first. Stick with us. And I'm like, you owing whatever, ain't won a game in over 6-7 years. You telling me you ain't got uniforms, but I'm at practice. I'm doing conditioning. I'm going to basically 3 days. We got early morning weights. We got noontime conditioning, and we got real practice in the evenings. And I'm out here outworking everybody, and you telling me the scholarship player who don't want to do conditioning deserves pass over somebody who's going to give you everything? And I was like, yep.
That's why they owe 66.
Yeah, so I quit. I go semi-pro route. But it's like, again, since I didn't do nothing for the Lobos, I wasn't good enough. I'm not validated enough to even have a conversation about football. Yeah. They feel like if you didn't play for Longview or you didn't do anything worth notoriety in Longview, you can't talk football with anybody in Longview, Texas.
Yeah, the thing that's frustrating, I do understand that frustration, but the thing that I take refuge in is that the people who play with me will vouch for me. And I've heard shout out to Ricardo, shout out to Kelsey and Tony. Kelsey and Tony actually went to bat for me while we was actually playing, trying to get me on the field because they understood my talent. And it's the same thing with you. People who actually play basketball with you, football with you, know you as an athlete. Like I used to joke with you all the time is that when it comes to basketball, you was always gonna be the first player picked because nobody wanted to play against you.
Nobody wanted to get fouled.
Yeah, because like you was like one of the most physical basketball players ever that knew how to actually play basketball. Because you got people from the hood that's physical and they just sorry. But you actually knew the game and you know how to play physical within the game, even though you still foul people. But like people like Jarrell Williams and other players you came up with, they will vouch for you. But it always seemed like that wasn't good enough, and I do understand that from I understand that perspective, because a lot of times I would want to say something about who I am and get people from where we come from to value me as a player. But I just know that like that's a losing battle, and it's frustrating. Yeah. It's frustrating that high school football means so much to us. Like, it's a good thing, it's a bad thing. But people don't understand the side that we come from. Because, like, you have the Aaron Johnsons, you have the Vondrell McGee's, you have these type of people who has the film and stuff to back up what they have. But you have other people who have talent and no film to back up their claim as being valid as a Lobo football player. And it's frustrating that people who actually have the film, who have the accolades, they don't understand what we go through as players.
Fighting for validation.
Yeah, basically fighting for validation. And honestly, I don't even try, man. Me as a filmmaker, as a photographer, anything that I do, I tell people all the time. It's like, instead of talking about what I am as a football player, I tell people all the time, I'm the best at everything that I do, and you can see that. Don't say that I'm a good filmmaker, because as good as I was as a filmmaker, I was that good as a basketball player. I was that good as a baseball player. I was an all-star baseball player. Yeah. I was played on one of the best little league basketball teams that ever came through Longview. And the same thing in football. And you are similar in that fact. Like, you went to the military and became one of the leaders in your, I don't know, in the military. The same thing as being a high school football coach. Like talk about that, because you started off coaching in college with flag football, and you coached a girls flag football team, and you progressed to Little League football. We got an opportunity to coach with our pops, and then you progressed that on to being a high school football coach out here in Kansas. So talk about what you've been able to do outside of playing football and how you've been able to contribute.
So just to piggyback off the validation thing, coming from Longview and not getting the respect that, that I feel like I deserve, what gets me is that when I got the PV, I instantly I got the notoriety.
Yeah.
Big 6'2", 6'3" guy, pretty stature, coming out of Longview weight system. I'm like, yeah.
And I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I don't know how this happened. Your athleticism went throughout the roof when you went to college. Because I always knew who you was. Like, obviously, I'm your little brother.
Yeah.
Like, so I knew who you was. You went to college. I remember we came back and we was playing football, tackle football out there on Sunday. And James Williams, he used to train a nephew, Danion. Everybody know him being an athletic freak. And I remember you caught a pass and you took off down the sideline. He was trying his hardest to catch you, and he couldn't catch you. I was like, James couldn't catch Dave? Like, where the hell did this speed come from? It's like, I have no idea where this speed came from when you got to college. But, yeah, I seen it, and I was shocked myself.
And that goes to continue to piggyback off that. The fight for validation forced me to work harder at PV. I was like, all right, City of Longview don't respect me. City of Longview don't know what I got. Well, I got a fresh start. So when I got to school and I got ready to work out, I got with a group of guys who wanted to try out, and we would just go play ball.
Yeah.
Or go run routes, or go, just do football workouts, run bleachers and stuff leading up to tryouts at PV. And like I said, my 40 time my freshman year in high school, 5'6". Sophomore year, 4'9". Junior and senior year was 4'8". When I got to PV, I went from a 4'8" to a 4'6". The first year I tried out, I was running a 4'6", and I was weighing 205 pounds.
Yeah.
My sophomore year at PV, I ran a 4.59. This was clock. Fastest 40 time I ever was clocked. My sophomore year at Prairie View, I ran a 4.59. And that drove me, because I seen what I had. And I was like, I probably had this then, but wasn't given that opportunity, so I wasn't pushing myself. It's like, it's Longview, this guy's in front of me, I'm going to just wait my turn. Out there was no turn to wait for.
Yeah.
It was something that I knew I had to go get.
Yeah, eat it, get ate.
Right, so I went out there and made the team. And I told you, NCAA, whatever, call back, so I started to coach. So I played flag football my freshman year and killed it. And so in tryouts for my building in freshman year, those guys was like, bro, damn, that's my phone. So Hit that, daddy.
Council.
Who is that?
I wish I knew in high school, yeah. Life ain't gotta like you.